All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the Node Working Group session for today. We'll start up with a preamble and we'll go through a few updates and then we can get on to questions. Here's the preamble. The Node Working Group sessions are a time when members come together and discuss and collaborate with ecosystem partners in the Mina Foundation. Topics discussed generally include latest releases, node operations, and other technical matters related to the protocol, although this is at the discretion of the Node Working Group. My name is John Robinson, and I'm the Community Operations Manager at the Mina Foundation. I'm here to support and facilitate these meetings, so if there's anything you'd like to talk about or anything I can do to help out, please just let me know. The meeting will be recorded and posted on YouTube. And so it'll be accessible for everyone to see. And if you have any questions during the meeting, it's a pretty small meeting again, so you can just shout them out. If a lot of people show up, please use the button down below to raise your hand. And there's not a lot on the agenda today, so we'll start off with updates as usual. Andrew, do you have any updates?
Yes, a little bit. I think we talked in the meeting last week about an upcoming alpha, and that's still in the works. I should have the time to put it together this afternoon. We've been doing some testing on the side and just trying to make sure that everything is up to the standard that we intend. And I think we're getting there. So yeah, so it's in good shape. Yeah, that's the main thing for me.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, Andrew. Prithvi mentioned that he won't be able to attend today, so we won't have any updates from him. Nathan, is there anything you'd like to share today?
I don't have any particular updates. I have been looking into the SNARK-work inclusion inconsistency that has been discussed at some recent meetings. Currently planning to deploy a custom build to DevNet to help give us some more information on this and try and recreate the scenario there so that we have more information to develop a fix.
Oh, great. Thanks, Nathan. So if anyone out there is interested, the DevNet's an open testnet channel we have. So if you're watching the recording later on, please feel free to join in there and you can check out the information in the pinned messages. Also just ask questions in there and people will be able to help you out. So yeah, good chance to test out some of the stuff that we're building here. Well, if that's up for updates, then we're basically open for discussion. Does anyone have any topics or anything they'd like to talk about today? Durka, I know you might not be able to speak, but yeah, thanks. You posted in the chat. So there's a message from Duke here, and it says, about the new uptime system, I have it on 2 nodes. After 8 attempts, failed to send block with a state hash, string state hash to uptime service at the URL, and then no more retries.
Yeah, so regarding the new URL for the uptime system, this setup now funnels everything through a central sort of load balancer for all of the requests, and it seems to not be handling the amount of traffic with everybody signing on and the announcement and everything that's going on right now. So we're working on getting sort of the back end scaled up to the point where it can handle everyone's requests. At the same time, I think we're also discovering potential other bugs that we'll need to get resolved here. I think I know Gareth reported one that seems to be a different sort of crash, not this like just failing to upload. And the other thing I will say that will be really helpful to us is if you run with debug logs enabled and JSON logs, ideally, each failure for the uptime system will have a much better message that actually gives the failure reason and the like HTTP error code. And that will be a lot more helpful to us, at least a couple of those, so that we can identify if you're all experiencing exactly the same sort of failure or if it's potentially a couple of issues that will need to be resolved. Yeah, I think right now the issue is that we're not really scaling up to handle the load that we're experiencing now, but that's a part of why. We're in this sort of trial period where everything's running in parallel.
And Duca followed up with, I also have failed uptime system connection on one node, but after a restart, it works.
I think that's a coincidence. I mean, I think, like I said, I think there's lots of people well, again, I would love to hear if we have, I need to see logs in order to better understand if everyone's in exactly the same bucket. But the experience that I've been seeing on my own nodes and from what I've been seeing reported in the Discord, it suggests that a small number of requests are getting through and then everyone else is sort of getting dropped. So yeah, some nodes and some people are lucky. I don't know that restarting it necessarily fixes it. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. But I would need to see more, I think.
Well, I think it doesn't. The errors that most people are getting are timeouts from the backend system, from what I've seen. So it's not the question related to the impossibility of not to produce the proof that is going to be sent, because you see those are popping up as well from time to time. Those are different ones. But most of the errors are timeouts from the backend. I mean, the code of the backend is as well there. And you are able to trace that it is not being able to send it in the 8 retries that are being made every 10 seconds. So with the 8th attempt, it just drops and that's it. So it's as you said, it's a backend system related thing. In most
we're investigating.
I've been seeing other errors popping up. Those can be traced as well, but those are related then to the node not being running properly or not being in sync, etc.
Yeah, so there's some there's some errors that it will always give during catch-up or during bootstrap. There's an error that I think is potentially deeper and maybe related to something else that we're going to investigate further. An actual failure to snark the transaction is an issue that we want to investigate. And like I said, we're already digging into what's going on the back-end side to make sure that we can handle the request volume that we're getting.
I hope this doesn't filter out the actual issues, if there is, because we were running the old address for a while and we didn't spot any error in that time frame. And yeah, the errors come with the new address, but in case there are some
it's been the exact same backend that was the address that you've been using up until today. The hard-coded IP is pointing to exactly the same backend that the URL points to, except there is one. Hold on. Except there is one extra web server in between that's acting as a proxy, and that's where I expect the issues are. So we're going to dig into that and figure out what's going on. That is the new part of what's going on. That is the new thing with this IP, or with this change, and that is not accepting your requests as efficiently as the previous direct IP system was. So that's what we need to figure out. But it's a service that has been scaled successfully by many people many times before, so we will figure it out. This is not scaling a blockchain. This is scaling Nginx. I think we'll be okay. But
yeah, in the long run, it's always gonna be better. It's not us.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if it's a coincidence, but in the endpoint that we were sending the stats to, I haven't seen those retries in the past. I don't know if that retrying thing is new in the latest stable version, and that might be the thing that we see in the new logs that we didn't see before. But I see timeouts with the previous endpoint as well, and I see errors as well there with the previous endpoint. But what I don't see there is those retries, and that is what I think that Andre is talking about, that we were not seeing those. I mean, that's totally fine. I think that's new, isn't it?
Yeah,
you just cut out there, Yvonne.
Yeah, I was saying that the retrying cycles there, I think that is one thing that is new in the latest stable version.
Yeah, that was not in the original alpha. So like all of you who
Okay.
tested this on
Yeah.
DevNet it didn't retry. But that was one of the
That's
first things that was reported by the community, so we implemented
Yeah.
it for the new one.
That was my point, yeah. But I saw timeouts in the previous endpoint as well. So no, there's nothing new for me there.
Okay. Yeah, so I think the other thing that has changed really is that Nginx returns a different error code when it times out. And as a result, the client actually has different logic, so it retries because it returns a 500 and says that there's something wrong with the backend. So I think that's the main thing that's happening. And yeah, in any case, we need to make sure that, and we now have a much closer to the real user base for the number of nodes trying to use this system, and we need to match the system to that scale. And hopefully a lot of these issues will ease, and then we'll get a better signal about, you know, what's really still wrong and what we can fix from there.
Great, thanks a lot, Andrew. Duca said, okay, thanks. Does anyone have any other questions about that?
I'm just gonna ask, do you think it's considerable to like viable for the next term to integrate towards new system, or is it going to be delayed furthermore, in your opinion?
There's quite a few people involved in that too, so I'm not sure if Andrew could answer that just by himself. So we'll have to talk about that. But from what we heard from our ecosystem partner OnTab and the others, that things were pretty solid. So like Andrew says, it seems to be just the server in the middle there, the web server. So
I see.
what do you think, Andrew? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of trying to get the bug addressed, like I think it's, you know, a high priority for us and for OnTab. I think it's going to get addressed as soon as we can. The question, but you know, I'm not even really involved in the decision-making process for how the program operates. So that is a whole nother question. You know, really, I think we need to gain confidence as an operating group. The Mina Foundation needs to gain confidence, and then you all should be confident. You know, clearly the level of concern in the Discord right now is too high to be considering this the production system. We'll be working to address that, and then I think the Mina Foundation can reevaluate that decision.
Yeah, at least Foundation and others are at least looks like a confident on the system, because it was introduced very long back then, and we were in dark for a very long while. So I just want to get some idea of that state.
I'm sorry, Emery, I couldn't hear the first part of your question there.
No, there was no question. I was trying to get general consensus from the One Laptop Foundation, because the system was there for a very long time and we were in the dark without knowing what's going on. That's why I asked that question. And this gives a general understanding of the current state of it.
Yeah, well, we're fairly confident in that. I mean, yeah. So, Andrew, could you maybe explain a bit more about what your role is in this? Because maybe people aren't really clear in that, because there are a lot of other people involved with this as well. Just generally, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I was involved in a lot of the discussions in terms of trying to make this, because I've been involved in a lot of the design and some chunks of the implementation. But we're really trying also to hand this project off to folks who have more bandwidth to maintain it full time. It's part of the reasons it sat for so long, was because I didn't really have the time to be working on it, and it's just, on top of all the other day-to-day responsibilities. So we're still trying to work out some of those things, I think, in the process of fixing each of these bugs and moving forward on the process. We're trying to figure out, who can maintain these things. How can we have a high level of confidence in all of these services?
Yeah, thanks for explaining that. And in the chat here, you got a bit of a shout out. It says, Andrew is a Mina rock star. And
Thanks, folks.
we've got a couple of things. And I've got to say that too. I mean, you do quite, you have many, many roles. I just like to point out though that there are quite a few other people in it, and so yes, and everyone's signed off. So yeah, we're fairly confident in this.
Also, to be clear, I'm heavily involved in the piece that's currently broken, so I will be trying to
okay. Well, let's
but there's lots. To your point, there's lots of other work that has gone into making this a complete and useful system for you all, and that's really the thing that we've been building towards in all of this time. There's the client side that we wanted to get out into your hands and start testing as soon as possible because it is incorporated in the daemon and our release process is slow. But while that was happening, we've been developing the back end. The ONTAB's been working on a front end and a leaderboard, and incorporating that into what we're going to be doing in the future. So lots of hands on this and making it a complete product to make sure that the delegations are fair and the program is operated efficiently.
Thanks. Well, we still have a few more minutes left. Is there anything else to talk about today, or will we finish early again?
Yeah, I have a question for Andrew there. I've seen that we're supposed to, maybe I understood it wrong, we're supposed to be running some SNAPs-related tests with the latest stable version, or aren't we?
Not in the stable version.
Okay.
So in the QA task force channel, there's discussions around the Berkeley QA net versions. There's also a GitHub discussion topic around Berkeley QA that will allow you to connect to the current network. That network has a variety of tests associated. I think the discussion even dictates what those tests are.
Okay.
Natalia also has a question here. It says, do we have an update about the criteria that will be used after almost all the block producers will have close to 100% uptime? So things related to scoring, Natalia and everyone, there'll be a follow-up coming out about that, how the scoring will be determined. Also related to some of the other things that we've been discussing in here, like related to the community suggestions that have been raised about the delegation program. So there's still quite a bit of things coming out. We really wanted to get this and people to start upgrading as soon as possible, because it will take quite a while. There's over 1,000 applicants in the delegation program, and so far there's about 200 that have been using the old system, and some of those people may or may not be on Discord or easily contactable. So we'll be doing things to get as much notice out there as to everyone as possible. And following up with that, there will be some information on more of like the policy things for related to the delegation policy and the progress that we've made on the community suggestions. So there will be something coming out, yes, and it'll be made in a public announcement to everyone at the same time.
Yeah, I just want to say from the implementation perspective, we're just trying to figure out how to get to the point where we have many people who have 100% uptime. And because that means a lot of things are working well, it's a good problem to have. And then I think the community and Mina Foundation are going to continue these discussions on what happens next once we get there.
Yeah. And that will be a discussion that will involve everybody too, the community and our ecosystem partners and everyone. But Yeah, that'll be an interesting problem to have. And you've probably seen in many areas, there's been a lot of requests for community participation and decision making and ideas. Things starting from like Mina research or the MIP process. So these are things that are all very new to us and still developing, and it's a learning experience for everyone. But what we're building up to is, practicing the skills and building up the tools and finding the best way to reach these decisions amongst the community and everyone. So yeah, there will be a kind of open discussion on these kind of things.
I think we will see the 100% uptime with the new system. Because it's much less likely to miss one block in the 15-minute time window. Even with the errors and some delays with the network.
It'll be interesting to see. Well, we are actually almost out of time. Anything else before we sign off? All right. Well, thanks a lot for your time, Andrew. Thank you for your time, Nathan, and thank you everyone else for coming. You guys have a great week out there.
You too. Take care.
Thank you.
Here's everyone.